Welcome to our Trade to Developer podcast. My name is Suzanne Elsey.
My name is Craig Shields, and we've often been asked to share how we've transitioned from trade to developer. We're now ready to reveal all. Suzanne, what do you look for in tradespeople when you was looking for your tradesman?
A few things really. I wanted to find trades that work well in people's homes. You know, at the end of the day, some of my clients were high net wealth. They have certain expectations about when people come in their home, like do they take their shoes off immediately without being asked, those sorts of things, really simple things.
Being polite.
But yeah, being polite, no swearing, no trousers that hang around the bum, you know, that type of crack situation. No loud music. Music is okay, but at a lower volume. So a lot of it was about how the clients will feel in their home with those people in their home, as well as their skills doing their trades. You know, it wasn't just about that. And I think a lot of tradespeople don't get that quite right. And things like having nice clean toolboxes that aren't filthy dirty and putting clean dust sheets down instead of dirty ones from the previous job, and cigarette butts on the floor outside. And there's lots of little things, but it's the little things that clients
I think you only get
one
chance to make that impression as well, because
100%.
As a trades I've gone and looked at thousands of jobs to quote for jobs, and before I've even got my foot through the door, I'd have the lady at the door before I've even gone in going, you are going to give me the quote within that amount of time, and you are going to quote reasonably. And it was before, so they've obviously had bad experiences before.
100%.
Which is one of the reasons when I was going out pricing, which was, and where we've gone from when we started to where we are now, is like just having things like, I would go with the branding, which we were saying that the branding on the van and branding on the top. Little things like turning up to the job in my car because I've lent the van to somebody. I would try not to go without the car. I'd park the car around the corner because they couldn't see that I've turned up with an unbranded car, if that makes sense. So it's all about the branding. So I'd make sure the car was parked outside or the van was parked outside, but I had branding on it, and then obviously my logo on my top. But I'd also carry a clipboard with my logo on the top of it, which had a template. So the template would be the address of the client, what they're looking for, and there's a few tick boxes down there, like, i.e., is there parking, is there facilities for toilets, is there this and that. A lot of it was for me for checking off, but as soon as you give that impression, and obviously where we are now with what the business is set up is that we use Calendly for our clients to book onto now. I had a lady that I went and looked at a job at, and she was at the section that we were like this massive 100 people business. Is because the process that we put her through with the sending her links that she could book on and pick in our diary and being professional from the beginning, it actually gave her an impression that we were bigger than what we was. That was good and bad, because she thought the price was going to be really expensive because we was a big client and we had massive overhead. So I had to reassure her that it wasn't. But just from when you're turning up, from that impression of that's who we are, parked outside, this is who we are here, and I've got a clipboard to show that we've already thought about what we're going to be doing within the job. They're the things that tradesmen get wrong. And then obviously, when you're going to give me my price back, if you say you're going to give it back in 2 weeks, get it back in 2 weeks. So I'd normally get interviewed before, and a lot of tradesmen would probably say this as well. You normally get interviewed and checked by the person before they even start showing you around the house. Where are you from? You are going to give me the quote, and when you're going to give me the quote, and is it going to be reasonable? And they do ask for the price on the spot as well, which is, well, you can give them a rough guesstimate, but he always say you need to go away and check because it's giving them the exact price at that time. But them things for me was getting, I think I would win more jobs from doing that.
It's taken us 7 years to make the transition from working with clients through to developing our own portfolio, and we can speed that up for you. If any of this resonates, please do register now, and we can help you transition yourself from trade to developer in just 12 months. Yeah, I think it's the whole process, and some people get bits right and not other bits. So a lot of the guys that I've used over, like previously to using you, were really bad at quoting and really bad at sending their invoices, which I always found a bit weird, to be quite honest with you. And I'd be chasing for them because obviously without them I can't do my job. But then it was also things like they'd tell you they'd ring, they didn't ring, or they'd tell me they were going to meet me at a certain time, they don't turn up. And I actually got to the point where if someone didn't meet me, that was it. Wouldn't use them.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, so like you said, first impressions count.
Yeah.
But if someone can't even be bothered to get to me on time, what are they going to be like doing my job for me?
That's right.
I was very on site every day when I was project managing for the clients. You know, it'd be design, it would be running the job, all the scheduling, it would be booking everyone in, ordering all the materials for everybody, all the way through to furnishing it at the end. So I was involved in every part of that transaction. And I needed guys that were reliable, 100% reliable. And stuff happens, things have to move. Yeah. And I was very good at, you know, moving with that. That's fine.
I'd have one day for quoting, which was a Thursday. And on that Thursday, the first slot would be between 8 and 10. 8 and 10. So it gives you 2 hour slot. And they would know within that 2 hours that I would be there. Normally be there on time at the 8 o'clock. But then it gave me time to look at that job and then get to the next one afterwards. So I'd have a look at 4 in a day. But I'd always text the client before leaving the other one saying, look, I'm up early, or I'm within your slot, but it's going to be 12:55 because you can see it on your sat nav. So, and I used to always do that prior to getting there, because what I was trying to do when I was putting my foot through that door is eliminating that questioning I would get when I walked through the door. Is that they would just invite you and start showing you around. That was my target, was, can I get them to not ask me and like
trust you already? Trust
me already before I've even got through the door, because that biggest trust and being professional is right from the beginning. And you saying like not turning up on time, like why would you? Like, people wait at home for British Gas and they give a slot between 8 and 6, and then you're ringing. Everyone starts ringing at 8:10. Like, where are they? Because they haven't given you a proper slot. They haven't told you exactly when they're coming. So, and I think definitely being professional out there, but when moving from the quote over to winning the job, it's actually getting your guys then, because you've done all that hard work to get the job, that they've actually got to go and do exactly what you were doing on what you've done before. So on my quote, I'd have written down like we'd be supplying our own toilet, or we would be laying dust sheets down, we'd be covering up certain items in their house, or they would have to have moved bedroom furniture out of the way before we come and stuff like that. So when my guys turned up, they would have been debriefed off of the estimate we've given, and exactly the same. Because you can give information, it's going back to communication, is that you can give information to the client and say, we're going to be doing this, this and this. And then you give your other guys the information going, just telling them we're just going to be building them units in that corner, but you haven't told them what to do prior to that. Mm. So if you've told them that prior of what we're doing before you even get your tools out, the client straight away knows that, well, they're doing what he said they're doing. And that was the whole point of making sure. And it follows all the way through that. And also letting the client know that you'll be having myself come and sign it off, or you'll have someone from the office that will come out and sign it off. And it's the communication and being professional from that point of it from the start. So when I walked in the door, I would tell them the process. I'm going to look at the job today. You're going to get quote back within 7 days. We're going to book the work in within 6 weeks. And within there, once the work is being carried out, we'll also come and sign it off prior to work's finishing. Because I used to get a lot of clients ringing me, even when I was on the tools, telling me that I hadn't finished, or they're snagging it before I've even finished. Do you know what I mean? I think one of the biggest things for tradesmen is, I remember laying the floor for a lady, and I was laying the floor, halfway through her floor, living room floor, I went out for a cup of tea, and she said, "You're not finished." I said, "No, I'm having a cup of tea." So it's like, there's customers, it's meeting customers' expectations, which is really, really difficult in the trade. I think, like, as much as you can do it all professionally, you've still got to be in communication. Like, I'm going out for a cup of tea now. It's stupid things like that you just take for granted that they were going to think that, and they question you on it, and you feel like you're on the back foot with them all the time. So, and it's just letting them know that, all right, well, my guys have built them units in the corner, but he did say that someone's going to come out and have a look at it and sign it off. So I'll let that person know, rather than the tradesman on the job, they know that. And then obviously we make sure the work's carried out properly until the end. Then obviously you'll be invoiced, and it'll be paid within 7 days, like the quote was. So from start to end, being professional is really crucial. And I think like you say, a lot of tradesmen are getting this wrong. Even if they're not invoicing you, Suzanne, that's definitely doing something wrong. So.
Exactly. They don't like the paperwork aspect.
Yeah. But it's looking at the customer journey from the beginning to the end, and it is all about from when they book in. So now we've got it as in that the client will call, they will get sent a link, or they email, they get sent a link, or they contact us on Facebook. There's a link to Calendly. They can book their own slot. They get a 2-hour slot. They're then told when we're coming. They get a seven day. The quote will be back within 7 days, and the work will be booked in within 6 weeks, and then it will be signed off by someone else in the team. I think giving the customer that knowing what's going on is a big win in business.
100%. I think it's about communication and managing expectation. And I think the thing that I think trades forget is, and I had this with so many clients, they'd had nightmares, absolute nightmares before I went in and got involved, to the point where they have put off doing anything in the property for years because they're so scared of having another basically disaster. And I think trades forget the fact that what have they been through before.
Yeah.
And I know one lady had a complete disaster and did nothing in her house for 20 years until it got to the point where she really had to. And I think that's was good from her point of view, because she had me effectively hand-holding her through the process. And unfortunately, that was when one carpenter actually let me down hugely. And you came in, that was the first job you did, well, no, second job you did for me. And he'd cut the oak doors, which were a few £100 each, incorrectly. And I had to order them all again. And then he got upset that I didn't pay him in full. It's like, you made the mistake. So there's always little sort of things to iron out. No one's ever perfect.
Yeah, well,
it's how you then deal with it.
Some people are not fortunate enough to pay for an interior designer to do that in between.
No.
And obviously a lot of tradesmen go into business, go into houses not knowing the backstory, because they wouldn't tell us if there's someone's just passed away or something's just happened. Something's just niggling away. And I think that's like what tradespeople have got to understand, is that they've just got to go in and give one service. It's like when you go into Costa Coffee or go through a McDonald's, you know what you get and you say at the beginning.
Yeah,
you get your food, you pay, and then you get your food as you're going out, and there's a bin to chuck your other rubbish on the way out. It's that it's having that process with the trades, is that give them that and make sure that, because that will make them feel comfortable, because you can't do everything to get rid of their problems. And we always thought, and trades would say it, is that we'd always be the ones that get the blame for everything. Either the people that came before or something else is going on in their life, that they would come home and blame us.
Yeah.
So if we can give them that journey the best they can, then it's a big, and I see a massive change in, one, my clients that I was getting, and two, the volume of work that we were getting, and obviously the testimonials that we were getting back, which was massive. And I don't think a lot of trades actually map out their client journey from the time they call to the time they pay the invoice. And even if they are doing it direct to a client, or they're doing it for an interior designer, or they're doing it for a developer, that's got to stay same all the way through. Thank you all for listening, and thank you all for your support, and please subscribe to the upcoming podcasts.
Just remember the famous quote from Henry Ford: if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got.